Preparaos para dar una calurosa bienvenida a esa sensación calurosa cuando os diga de quién se trata. Señoras y señores, los Platters.
Smoke gets in your
Hey, what's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? It's your man, not your boy. This is Teddy Fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters. I'm going live now, guys, and I'm out here tonight, and we're going to talk. I'm going to be on here for a minute. I think I need to talk to you guys. I probably want some guys to join in and leave some comments, and we're in the chat. Come and talk to me. I want to talk about everything. Let's just talk about everything. You know, this has been a long time coming. You know, hopefully you guys have seen all the videos that I have been posting on the Platters. I think I posted like 10 videos of the sequences of the 10 years I was with the Platters. Like, I think it's like a video per year, or a video per year, like what we did on that particular tour, who we toured with, and what was the tour like, how was Tony. I know there must be a lot of questions out there about my experience being a member of the Platters, being able to associate with Tony Williams. A lot of you guys are his biggest fans. I've been reading the comments. I see a lot of people love Tony. And I'm sorry to say, by the time I joined the group, Tony Williams' voice was shot. It was gone. I joined the group in '82. Tony had to lose his voice by the end of the 60s. Somewhere in the mid to late 60s, Tony lost his voice. You know, the worst thing you can do as a singer is drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes. It is no good for your voice. And after a while, it will take its effect. And as most of you guys know, Tony Williams was an alcoholic. He had to have a drink all the time or he couldn't even perform. And it got so bad that most of the times he was drunk on stage and he did some terrible performance. I can count on my hand through the whole 10 years of being in that group how many really good performances Tony was able to do. Not a lot, not very few. I can only think like maybe 2 or 3 in 10 years. I'm sorry, but it was like that. I mean, just wasn't the same anymore, you know. I watched the old videos of the Platters from the 50s. You know, I was born in '59, so I wasn't even alive at the height of their career. I think by the time I was born, Tony had already left the group and tried to go solo. I don't know much about why his solo career didn't take off. He didn't talk much about it. The few information I got out of him, he told me what he remembered and anything I could ask him. At the time, I wasn't thinking at the time when I was in a group that I was going to make a video or a documentary about my time with the Platters. I thought that, wow, maybe I should just talk to him because, you know, this was like not really my era. This music was my parents' era. So I've heard these songs. I heard them on the radio, and I heard my father. He used to like to sing that song. What song he liked to sing? The Great Pretender. Oh yes, I'm the Great Pretender. He used to sing that song all the time around the house, and so I kind of remembered that song. I always liked that song. That song I liked, and I remembered. So when I did get the opportunity to join the group, I let them know. Some great years, experiences, adventures, meeting all these great artists. Wow. I got some great, great, great memories. Eventually, I'm going to write a book about those 10 years and my time in that group. Unfortunately, with Tony at the time was bad management. His wife was actually managing the group by the time I joined the group. She was the one who hired me. It wasn't the same anymore. I mean, we was like it was like the oldies trail, but actually, I think around 85 or 86, there was a revival of that music from the 50s, and we started to work a lot. I mean, everywhere, and we was on shows with all the greats. Everybody from Jerry Lee Lewis, Bo Diddley, Wilson Pickett, who else? I mean, well, everybody. I can't. So many. I can't. Ray Charles. I can't remember all the people we were on the show. It was so in 10 years. It was so many. But yeah, that was a wonderful time, and it was the most rewarding thing was a lot of times backstage, people coming over to say hello to Tony and to just greet him because he was the last original member. He was the man. It was his voice that sold those records. Don't get it twisted now. The name was the Platters, but the voice was Tony Williams. He made the Platters what they were. He sold those records. And I'll never forget those days. He had a lot of things going on with him. He was always in and out of the house. I say by 88, 89, he was going to the hospital a lot. And as you guys all know, he died in 92. He died in his sleep, in his bed, in his apartment, laying next to his wife. So if you're going to go out, that's how I want to go out. But he did, and you know what was great, what was interesting, was that she loved him, and Tony wasn't a philanderer or a cheater or nothing like that, but he was a heavy drinker, and he was a good person, and he has a great personality, and he had a lot of stories, and he was so funny, and he was so inspiring. I remember I used to go, when it was time for us to go on tour, we'd go meet up at his apartment and talking, and he'd just joke around. And he would just start talking in Japanese. And that blew my mind. This man could speak Japanese. And I was like, I'm going to learn Japanese because you blew my mind. I never saw a black person speak Japanese. And so, eventually, hontou ni boku wa nihongo shabimasu. I actually learned to speak Japanese. I spent some time in Japan. I think I lived there for about 10 years, off and on. So I spent a lot of time in Japan. I first went, as you guys know, my first tour to Japan with the Platters was in 87. I think 87 we went to Japan and we went on a tour. I think I talked about that in one of the videos. I think it's called the Japan Talk. And we toured Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama. We did that tour. And I think we went 2 years in a row. I think we went 87 and 88. Where else did we yeah, and that was, I mean, we went so many places, but that Japanese talk, and I'm only talking about Japan because I was telling you about how I was impressed that Tony Williams could actually speak Japanese, and that blew my mind, like I said. So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. People ask me a lot of questions. I can only tell you about the time that I spent with him. I can't tell you about the times before I joined the group. Now remember, I joined the group in 1982, and I was with him from 82 to 92. Those were the lean years. So the years you guys are responding to and remember the most is the years from 1954 to 1960. That was their prime height. That was the original Platters in their prime years, and while all you guys loved them. By the time I joined the group, Tony was the only original left, and he was fronting his own Platters. It was called Tony Williams, original lead singer of the Platters. That's how we used to go out, because at that time, there would have to be about 3, maybe even 4. Yeah, about 3 groups, because you know what happened? No, about 4, maybe 4, because at that time, each member, even if they were just the background singers, they was original member. So they formed their group. They was either Herb Reed, who's the bass singer, Platters, or Zola Taylor, who's the female, Platters, or Buck Rams, who owned the rights to the name of the Platters. So he actually had a group called the Platters because he owned the rights, but his group had no originals. They were all, I call them a tribute group because they were all replacements. Nobody was in the group. And the thing is, like I keep saying, Tony Williams' voice sold that group. So because I have to be with Tony Williams, and Tony Williams had a following, people knew. So when we were billed as Tony Williams, original lead singer of the Platters, we got all the work because everybody wanted to hear Tony. Everybody wanted to see Tony. There was actually a time when we did a show, I kid you not, and it was in, where was this? Maybe, I think it's Cincinnati or Cleveland, Ohio. And it was a freaking another Platters group, one of those knockoff groups, built to perform in the same city. And we went on the radio, and we did an interview for that show before we went on. And Tony was on, and Tony said, yes, this is, don't forget, whoever that other group is in town, that's not the Platters. If you want to hear the Platters, you come see me. I'm Tony Williams, and we're going to be performing at such and such venue. Do you know that people were mad and requested their tickets back from that other group and that other venue, and came down and brought tickets to the show that we were at? Man, there's so many, I tell you, there's so many times we had stories that were like, can you believe that actually happened stories? But it actually happened, you know. I'm gonna be on here for a little while, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. I'm just gonna talk. I'm actually watching, 44 seconds. I'm actually watching my favorite basketball team, the New York Knicks, playing while I'm talking to you. But those times were very amazing, interesting. You know what? I guess what I'm gonna do now that I got this audience and I see so much of you guys have been responding, I'm gonna start going live at least once a week, and we're just gonna talk. And for all you Platters fans who have your memories, who love the group, and would actually like to talk to a surviving member, is me. And you know what's crazy? I was at the Waldorf Astoria when the Platters got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was sitting at the table, but because I wasn't an original member, I didn't go up on stage. At that time, I think it was only 3. Yeah, it was only 3 people still alive. It was Tony, it was Zola, it was Herb Reed. They went up and they got their award and spoke. But Tony's group, his group of the time was there. Us, me, and a couple other members of the group. So we had to sit at the table. It was like, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Temptations story. You remember that time when the Temptations got inducted to the Hall of Fame? And Otis had his Temptation of that time sitting at the table, but then David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks, I'm thinking Dennis Edward, came walking through the door. So they went up on the stage to receive their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame awards. But Dennis's group at the time, they still sat at the table. So they showed the scene of Dennis's group sitting at the table, and they showed the scene of the other guys coming in and going to accept the award. So that's what it felt like. So when I saw that movie, that's what it reminded me of when I saw that movie about that situation that happened with us at the Waldorf. I got to meet all those people who were famous. There was so many people at the Waldorf that got inducted with the Platters. And you'd be surprised, you won't be surprised, but I was surprised how many of these stars acknowledged Tony Williams. I mean, some of these stars that was inducted to the Hall of Fame were Tony Williams fans. They were all coming over to the table, greeting Tony and telling him how much they loved him and all that stuff. It was amazing, man. It was absolutely amazing. I was so overwhelmed, and I was so grateful and thankful to be a member of that group at the time, you know. And the funny thing was, I wasn't happy because Tony wasn't singing like the Tony that you guys know. And each night on stage, it was hard to go on stage with him, man, because he actually, to be honest with you, I would say by 1985, 86, he shouldn't have been singing anymore. He should have just retired. But, you know, there's cash cows out there. And like I said, his wife was the manager of the group, and she was the female singer in the group. So she wanted a taste of that fame and some of that bread that the Platters was making. I've got stories from her that she told me, because Helen Williams, that's her name, she married Tony in 1962. So from what I know, from what she told me, from what I understand, she was one of those greeting ladies that was working in Vegas at Sands or one of those hotels. And she met Tony when the group was performing there. So she met him, and they started a relationship. I think that was right at the end of his time being in Platters. I think it was like 1959. And so they moved in together and stuff. And then when he left the group, I think in 60, he left the group and wanted to go solo, but he couldn't use the name. They had to go, Buck Ram sued him, and they had to go to a court and stuff like that. And she told me how the money was being funnied. Man, there was some stories. She told me there was a time, she said that those royalty checks that they were supposed to get were going straight to Buck Rams, and he would divvy out the money. But one time, ASCAP sent a check directly to Tony by mistake. And when Tony found out how much money that they were receiving from those royalty checks, he went crazy. He took that check. I think the check was like $40,000, $50,000. You know, and he told me, and check that. You think I'm serious? He said at the height of their success, they were all on salary. They were making $250 a week. Yeah, $250 a week. Now you got to remember, this was the 50s. So to make $250 a week, you was getting paid, because I think the average weekly salary in 1956, 57 was like $35, $40 a week, maybe $50 a week was the average weekly salary at that time. And they was getting paid $250 a week. So they thought they was rich, but they had no idea how much those royalty checks was. And we talking about 100,000, 200,000. And Buck Rand was able to buy a mansion, put all his kids through schools off the Platters. Well, the Platters were struggling just to make ends meet. Now, Tony did tell me at the time he wasn't so important because they never made that kind of money before. And all he was interested in was the fact that he had new clothes, he had diamond rings, he had some money in his pocket, new cars, so he thought he was doing well. They had no idea what royalties and songwriting credits and all those stuff was back then. You know, I think Tony was like 27, 28 at the height of the Platters. And now you talking about the 50s and segregation. So there wasn't a lot of fairness, shall I say, going on at that time. But as you guys all know, they did become successful. But I can talk only about what was told to me about that time. So if I say something that doesn't sound correct, forgive me, because I wasn't there. This is secondhand stories told to me about the 50s and the 60s. So because I wasn't there, I can only regurgitate what was told to me. How correct or how precise though that information is, I can't really say. But you can research and do the background check. But I could definitely talk about the 80s and early 90s, because I was there. Go look at, it's not too many, and by the way, I'm not on any records. They weren't recording when I joined the group. They were a touring group when I joined the group. So those recording days were over. But there's videos out there. There was people taking videos of us at a lot of places. I got that one video from the show that we did that was on TV. And we sung Smoke Is in Your Eyes. That was the Rock and Roll Classic Reunion. And everybody from Jerry Lee Lewis, Wilson Pickett, Benny King, Leslie Gore, everybody was on that show. Bo Diddley, everybody was on that show. That was great. And that was filmed in New York. I think we filmed that in 1988, but it was for the 63 class reunion. So that was a very interesting show. I really enjoyed that show. Yeah, and what we doing? Damn. That was a really fun show. So I had a lot of fun on that show, being on TV. So I'm going to see while I'm talking to you guys, I'm things are coming back to me, so I'm still remembering at the same time. So if I kind of stutter and it's because I'm thinking about what happened at that time. I'm gonna take you back, and although there's a video of me talking about this whole situation, I'll just skim over some of the stuff that I talked about in those videos. I won't go into in depth. You can look at that particular video for that particular year, and it will go in depth about what happened on what tour and what we did that year. But it was 1982 when I joined the group, and it was crazy because I was working at an all-in-one store that had a copy center in it. And a matter of fact, the owner of the copy center was Dana Matthau, who was Walter Matthau's nephew. he owned the store. He owned the, not the store, the copy center that I worked for. So I actually was working for celebrity's relative. I never met Walter Matthau, but I heard about him a lot. So I'm working at this copy center, and there's 3 of us, and what we do is well, people will come in and they will request copies. Now at that time, this is 1982, so there's no emails and this, that, and the other. No, you wanted something, no fax or no print. You wanted something, you had to go to a copy center, and they had to make you a copy of it. And so the manager, who was Tony Williams' wife, Helen, came to the store because she needed one of the contracts that they were doing, going to be performing at, to be some copies made of it. And it just so happened, out of the 3 of us that's working there, I'm the one that who was helping her. So, long story short, as how we make copies, so we'll take the document and we'll make a proof copy. So we make a proof copy, and then I'll look at it, make sure it looks good, look over it, make sure it looks before I make multiple copies. And when I looked over, I saw the contract, and it says, contract for the Platters to perform at such and such venue on such and such night, making such and such amount of money. And I'm like, wow. So I said to the lady, excuse me, is this the Platters? The Platters? You know, I mean, what can I say? The Platters, right? They made The Great Pretender? She said, yes. And I continue making the copies. And I just start talking to her, like, you know, at the time, you know, I never, I was singing locally, but I was singing at open mics. At that time, back then, open mics wasn't no karaoke. It was a piano player only, and you had to give them the sheet music unless they knew the song that you wanted to sing. So you would give them the sheet music to the song that you're going to sing. I think they were just learning the chords. I didn't think some of them actually read all that stuff and they played all the notes, but a lot of them just read the chords and played the chords. And then you would sing with them. So I was doing that locally at the time. And so when she came into the store, you know, we talking, and I'm asking some questions, you know, I want to know everything, man. So, and then she asked me about myself, and I told her, you know, that I'm a wannabe singer, struggling singer, singing around locally, but never really did anything big, looking for my break. And you know how people do in closing, you say, and if you ever need a singer, I'm your guy. Here I am. Not thinking anything was ever gonna come of it. Come on. What's the chances of me being a member of that group? First of all, at the time I was 22 years old. Okay. And she said, okay, and thank you. And she took her copies and she left. And I forgot all about it. Didn't think anything of it. A month later, I swear to God, a month later, she came back to the store to get some more copies made. And she said, you know, by the way, we're going to be doing the show, and one of the members can't perform anymore. So we're going to be looking to replace him. Hey, did you say you sing, right? And I said, yeah. She said, well, it's an open audition, and if you're interested, you can come to such and such a place for the audition. So I said to her, that's cool, but you know what? Tomorrow night, I'm going to be singing right around the corner. Now, the copy shop was on 57th and 8th. And there's a little club on 54th between 8th and Broadway, 7th and Broadway, called the Yield Triple N. Matter of fact, it was right across the street from Studio 54. And I would normally sing. I go there on a couple of days a week and sing. So I told, and they lived right down. They lived on 58th between 7th and 8th. So I told them that it's right around the corner. I'll be singing there tomorrow night at such and such time. So instead of auditioning, come see me live so you can see me how I perform to an audience. And she said, that's a great idea. What's the name of the place again? And I told her, and she said, we'll be there. So she came back with 2 of the members of the group. No, one of the members of the group and her road manager, the guy who takes care of everything while they on the road. So she came back, they came down, and I sung 2 songs. I think I sung a Temptation song, which was My Girl, and I sung a Marvin Gaye song. I'm not sure. I think I might have sung What's Going On. I think that was the song I sung. So I sung those songs, and after I sung, they called me up, asked me to come over to the table, invited me over to the table. They said, we really, really, really like your performance and your voice. And actually, your voice is the perfect voice for the guy who you want to replace. Because the guy we were replacing was a second tenor, and you have a second tenor voice. So we don't need to look any further. We found our guy. So if you're interested, the job is yours. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Get out of here. I couldn't believe it. I said, man, I didn't even care how much money he was paying us. I said, wow. She said, okay, so we rehearsed in 2 days. We got a show in 2 weeks at the Civic Center in Englewood, New Jersey. And that's a whole story I'm going to tell you about later. That's my first show I done with them. Oh, my God. Just to give you a little simple, that show was sold out. It was 2,500 seater. And it was the Platters, the Coasters, and Benny King and the Drifters on that show. Now, I'm only used to singing at these little small pubs and coffee house, maybe 10, 20. If it's a packed house, maybe 25, 30 people the most. You're talking about 2,500 people at that Civic Center for my first show with the Platters. Oh my God. Let me tell you. But like I said, we're going to talk about that later. I'm just going to continue talking about how I joined the group. So, he said this, we rehearsed in 2 days. So I went to a rehearsal. Now, give you a backstory. A year before that, I was singing with this a cappella group. It was 4 of us. And we would sing in the subways, and we would sing on the street corners. So I had a year experience singing harmony and hearing harmony notes. And that's very important, because I wasn't the lead singer, Tony Williams was. I was the background singer. I came in as a background singer, so I had to learn all the oohs and ahs and stuff, and the keys. So that experience singing in that a cappella group and singing doo-wop in the street corners, and let me tell you, we was killing. These guys was incredible singers. I was so lucky to meet these guys, and I sung with them for like a year, and we were singing everywhere, and we were they didn't care about anything else but making some fast money on the streets singing. And at that time, 1980, 81, it was very interesting going out on the street corners in New York City, singing and making money. Man, there was times when we used to stop the crowd. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. We actually went to Apollo Theater on Amateur Night, and we sung Amateur Night at the Apollo Theater. What did we sing? we sung Joanna by Kool and Gang a cappella, and I sang lead, and they was doing the harmonies. And Joanna, I love you. That song. And just imagine that as an a cappella. No band, just an a cappella group. We didn't win. I think we came in like second place. But it was a great experience. And actually, I went back to the Apollo 2 more times after that on my own, and sung with the Apollo band. I think I sung Lady by what's his name? Kenny Rogers, and I sung Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. I never won, but I never got booed off that stage. And let me tell you something right now. Not getting booed off the Apollo Theater stage at amateur night, shit, that's like winning to me. Because the people who got booed, we got a comment. Hey, Matt, I have to put my glasses on because I'm old, so I'm going bad. So there was nobody there so I could talk, but now I'm reading these things. Oh yeah, how you doing, Matt? Nice to catching up with you too. If you got any questions you want to ask me about the group, go right ahead. I'm here. We can talk. I'm going to be doing live a lot. And I want to get to know you guys. And I know a lot of you Platters fans got questions that you want to ask. And I'm your guy. I can answer all the questions, hopefully, that I can answer. But I'm here to answer the questions. Yeah, so getting back to my story, and I sung Joanna, and then like I said, I sung some other songs on my own. And so I had some experience as an amateur singer, okay? In some local clubs with local bands at the time, not really making any money. So we was making like $10, $15, $20 a piece at the time. Not much. It wasn't until I joined the Platters I started making some money, you know. But what I do remember too, what's important about that is that all that experience paid off because it prepared me for this opportunity of a lifetime to join the Platters. And I was ready. I'm telling you, I was ready. So at rehearsal, like I said, all I had to do was sing background because we had Tony Williams, so I didn't have to sing no lead song. Although 2 years later, they started letting me sing a lead song, and that's a whole nother story too. Because by the 5th year of being in that group, they were featuring me. They were featuring me singing lead, and I used to sing the song called Shout. At the end of the show, I used to tear it up. A lot of people remember me from that who came to see the Platters. Oh, we have another comment? Let me see. I always wanted to know what the great late Tony Williams was like. We all know he had a glorious heavenly voice, but what was he like knowing him during your 10 years as a Platter? Oh, great question. During my 10 years as a Platters, Tony was a quiet man. He was mild mannered, wasn't loud. He was pleasant to be around, and he was very talkative when he starts drinking. When he's not, but he was an alcoholic. And it was funny, him and his wife lived in Manhattan, in Columbus Circle on 58th and 8th. On the 18th, they had a penthouse apartment on 18D. And you can actually go out on a terrace and look at Central Park from there. And so she took care of all the business. he basically stayed to himself when he was at home. When we wasn't on the road, he would stay in his room, occasionally come out every once in a while. But when we was on the road, when we go on tour, it's when he would be a little more social and we'd hang out. I would go to, sometimes on our time off, I would go to his room and just hang out with him and just do stuff with him. He was pleasant, like I said. He wasn't big-headed and stuff, but this is the kind of, now, when I joined the group, Tony was in his mid-50s. He was 54 because he actually was 64 when he died in 92. So when I joined the group, he was 54. So he was an older man. Now, I was 22 years old, okay? He was 54, I was 22. He was like 32 years older than me, okay? So when I joined the group, I was like the baby of the group. I was even surprised they want me in the group. I was like, oh, you guys are like 15, 20, 30 years older than me. But I found out from the manager is that the thing that she loved about me the most was my energy. I was very energetic. And she thought, because everybody was so much older, me as a youthful guy, I would bring some energy to the group. And people would feed off that. And she was right. This woman was smart. When it came to this business, I got to give her credit. She knew her stuff. She knew, and she knew I was the perfect person at that time to be in that group, because I helped revive the energy in that group. And I could tell you, I can be honest with you, I can tell you there were times when we got booked at other engagements because of my performance later on in the group. And but getting back to Tony, and he wasn't so talkative until he started drinking. When he drank, he just loved to talk. He just loved to talk. And I love listening to him talk. I remember people in the audience will always come to tell me, and this was maybe 5, 6, 7 years later in the group, because like I said, I was in the group for 10 years. So by the time when they started featuring me in the group, it was happening to be around the middle 80s, around 84, 85. And people would tell me when I'm singing, because they had it, when Tony isn't singing lead, they had a chair sitting on the side of the stage, and he would sit there while the other members would sing a lead song, and then when it was time for him to come back and sing, he would get off the chair and come back and sing. So when I'm singing, people would tell me they were watching Tony, watching me with this big smile on his face while I'm singing, and we're like, people were saying it was like him envisioning himself as a youth. So I never noticed it because I'm out there. I'm focused on you guys. I'm focused on the band, on the club. So I'm not looking at Tony, but they say all that time he's looking at me. So I was very thankful and pleased to hear that. Tony came up in a time when it was rough for black people in America. You guys know that. And by the time I got in the group, it was in the 80s, so it was a whole different era. So I knew nothing about segregation and all the discrimination and all that stuff, because that wasn't the thing when I joined the group. That would happen in his time. He talked about that. I'll talk about that later if you guys want to know about that. But he was fun to be around. He was very jovial. He had a lot of information, and I tell you right now, Matt, you would love to sit down and have a conversation with Tony. He was great to be around and great to talk to, especially when we were on the road. We had so much fun on the road talking with Tony. I'm sorry, where was I? Oh. So, we're talking about the early years of my time in the Platters, from 82. So we talking about when I joined the group in 82. And we're just gonna talk even stuff that I didn't mention in the videos I'll just talk about here during these live streams. If you guys are interested in any of that stuff, we'll talk about all that stuff. But like I said, I'll tell you again. What's this? Let me see. Sorry about that. Oh, no, we're gonna hide that. There was some stuff. I'm still getting used to this thing here. No, I'm not gonna. And how I'm going live on YouTube and how that thing works. So, Matt, thank you for the questions. And if any of you guys, anybody else out there have any questions, by all means, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I'm here. I'm here. We're gonna talk. I got time today. I got time today. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about all of this stuff. I'm in a good mood right now. What's this? Wow. When you saw my video. Oh, Matt. Oh, that Matt. That's who you are. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to tell you what caught my attention. Your video title was a compilation of all the Tony Williams and the Platters live performance up to the time of his death. So I was curious to see if you had videos of performances of the Platters with members that were in the group before I got there. Because I took the place of one of the original members, but there was another guy that was in the group that wasn't an original member that took the place of original member. So, and his name was Derek. What was Derek's last name? Derek David. Derek David, that was his name. I think, matter of fact, he's out in Vegas. He joined the group in like 72 or 73. So if you see any posters or any pictures promoting the Platters in the 70s, that's Derek David in the group at that time. I think he left the group in like 1980 or something like that. And another guy, Ricky, another guy was in the group, Ricky something, I forgot his last name, Ricky Black, he was in the group. But this was in the 70s. Now, I wasn't there. So I was interested if you had videos of any of Tony's Platters, not those. See, you got some videos on there with some other guys singing lead. I don't care about those. I only care about the videos with Tony Williams. Because like I said before, anybody else that was singing lead for the Platters and it wasn't Tony Williams, it was a tribute singer, a replacement. So that didn't matter. But I was shocked to see that you had that video of me singing with Tony. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, Matt, I was, and I watched the video. I was impressed, but try to see if you can find videos of Tony Williams Platters. There's a few out there on YouTube from the 70s. I think with Ricky Black singing In My Place before I joined the group. Oh, you got another message? Okay, that's all right. If you go on, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, there might be 2 videos floating around on YouTube of the 70s Platters with Tony Williams. Because I've seen one or 2 of them out there. So there are a few out there. And like I said, there were people coming, making videos. This is in the 80s, when I was in the group in the 90s, that was filming us at a lot of live shows. So I'm sure there's a lot of Platters fans out there that got videos of me performing at different venues with the Platters in the 80s. Because in the 80s, I definitely seen people taking videos, setting up video cameras and videotaping performance. I'm not sure, I didn't see any on YouTube, so I'm sure nobody is posting any of those videos. But one day I hope somebody will start posting some of those old videos of the Platters from my time in the group. But I'll be honest with you, you're not gonna be happy with a lot of those shows because Tony, as you can see in the video that I'm in with Tony, his voice wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same. I mean, look, I could tell you how many countless artists is that had the fame that Tony had, but during the years lost their voice from abusement. One person that stands out in my mind, a couple of people stands out in my mind from my generation was Whitney Houston and Alexander O'Neal. Drugs and alcohol destroyed their voice, and they had some incredible voices in the 80s. And you know what happened to Whitney Houston? Alexander O'Neal is still around, but he can't sing like he did in the 80s. He sounds terrible compared to his voice in the 80s. And sorry to say, comparing Tony Williams' voice in the 80s to his voice in the 50s, there's no comparison. It's two totally different singers, two totally different voices. I wish I was there. I wish I was alive and old enough to see Tony in the 50s. I can imagine those are some incredible times. You got something else. What you write, Matt? It was a shame how Tony's health due to drinking and smoking failed his way. Stroke. Yeah, that's true. And the stroke came on because of his lifestyle. He wasn't taking care of himself. He wasn't eating properly, smoking, and then he had high blood pressure. Tony had a few things going on that people didn't know about his health. Tony was in really bad health. You gotta remember, he was only 64, but he looked like he was 74 when he died. That's how bad it was for him and how bad his health was. But if you don't take care of yourself, matter of fact, I'll be 64 this year in September. The same age Tony was when he died. Look at me. Do I look 64? And I'm in perfect health. My voice is still great. I can still sing. I'm in great health, as you can see. I don't drink. I'll drink a glass of wine here and there occasionally. I don't smoke. I eat healthy. I work out regularly. And I take care of myself. I'm planning on being around for a while. I don't plan on leaving here anytime soon. So just to let you know, I'm gonna be here for a while. But yeah, it's like I said, a lot of those people, after you reach this level of stardom, there's no more going up. It's just coming down from that point there. A lot of people crash when they come down. They crash. What you wrote? That's what I'm telling you. You thought I was in my early 40s, right? Man, I was born September 1st, 1959. Okay, 59 I was born. And now imagine if you seeing me now, and I don't have no hair, but if you saw me when the Platters hired me back in 1982, if you think I look young now, how young you thought I looked then? With a full head of hair and a younger face, no gray. When I joined the group, can you imagine what I looked like then when I joined the group? I was the baby of the group. I got stories about that. I'm gonna keep it to you. I'm only gonna be here tonight for about an hour, but like I said, I'm gonna be doing this live thing regularly, and I'm gonna be talking about everything related to the Platters, and hopefully more people will come up. All you Platter fans out there who wished you could and never had an opportunity to talk to a member of the Platters or to one of your favorite groups, here I am. This is your chance, and I'm going to be doing this regularly, and hopefully more and more you guys will join me on my live stream, and we can talk about the Platters. Yeah, Matt, age and time is crazy. It sure is. I agree with you on that. But it's also what you do with it, how you take care of yourself, and how you look at life. You know, some people like to burn out like a flame. Some people like to age like an old glass of wine, you know. I look at myself like a bottle of wine. The older I get, the better I taste. I like that. I like that. The older I get, the better I taste. I like that. But that's how I see myself. And I wish Tony could have done that or felt that way, you know, but a lot of people can't. You know what, to be funny, not to be funny, but just to think about it, I'm the only surviving member of Tony Williams Platters. Not the original Platters, but Tony Williams Platters, his group. I'm the only one that survived. Everybody else is gone. His wife, she died in what, 2004? The bass singer died in the early 2000s. No, in the 90s, the bass singer, Bob Rivers, died in the 90s. Ricky died in the 2000s. Yeah. It's me. I'm the only one left from that group, from that video that you see me singing in with the Platters. I'm the only one that's still alive to this day from that video. And that video was recorded in 1988. Okay, 1988 we recorded that video. And here it is, 2023. Wow. Damn, did I say that? 2002. I can't believe I'm saying this. 2023. 2023. I'm alive to talk to you guys in 2023 about stuff that I did 30 years ago. Wow. 40 years ago. Wow. Wow, this is great. This is amazing. This is amazing. And I still got my memory. And I can remember a lot of that stuff. And the more I talk to you guys, the more I start remembering things. Matt, you seem to be my biggest fan right now, so I'm going to be talking to you. And all of the originals are gone. Zola, Taylor, Paul Roby, Her Reaver, even Tony's replacement. That's right, Sonny just died. And I met Sonny. Great guy. Great guy. He was a fun guy. He loved Tony too, because I saw them interact with each other when he was alive. And yep, everybody's gone, Matt. Everybody's gone. Everybody is gone. Everybody is gone. Everybody is gone. Wow, wow, wow. I'm saying wow, but everybody's gone. I do cherish those moments, those memories, and moments in time. You know, I look at my life now as a book of pages being turned, being filled in and turned. So this book, all these pages being turned. And when you write in a book, you don't go back to the page you just read. You go to the next blank page and write some new stuff. So that's my life right now. So I'm in, I don't even know what chapter of the book I'm in. I know I'm in advanced chapters right now, but my life book is still being written. Right now, believe it or not, Matt, I'm an actor. I got a lot of stuff, videos of me doing my acting. I've been acting since, I would say, 2008. Yeah, about 2008. I've been acting. I started as a background actor. I still do some of that. Doing commercials. Done TV. I did a court show. I had a court show that's called We the People with Lauren Lake, I'm sorry. And the episode is called Jezebel Spirit. And I'm playing Pastor Hatton. That just went viral on TikTok. And that's on it's one of my videos now. So if you want to go and look in my videos for that particular one, We the People, Jezebel Spirit, Pastor Hatton, that's me. You can watch me you can watch my acting. What you wrote? It's insane to think of how the Platters are still influencing music today, the way they wrote songs and how they performed them. Yeah, that's true. And you know what's funny? All those hits was written by Buck Rams, their manager, because Buck Rams is a songwriter. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes is a remake. That's not original. But Great Pretender, My Prayer, Twilight Time, those songs were written by Buck Rams. Yep. Oh, thank you, Matt. Thank you. You could tell I have an actor's personality. You know, it's funny because I was always a ham. Even as a young man, I was a ham. As a kid, I was a ham. And it's the energy that I bring that everybody liked so much. That's that. Did you ever meet Buck Rams? No, I never met Buck Rams. Because when I was in a group, they were suing each other. They were in court suing each other. They were on real bad terms. Tony had a lot of bad. And you know what's funny? They won the case. As a matter of fact, Paul Roby won his case and died the next year. Can you believe that? Tony Williams won their case, but there was an arbitration. And in 92, he died. It didn't settle, and then Buck Rams died. So those guys have been in court with each other from the time that the group broke up. Somebody was suing somebody. They were all suing each other. Like I said, Buck Rams had them sign over their rights to the name, Platters Inc. and Corp. He wrote all the songs, so they wasn't getting royalties from writers' royalties. They didn't know anything about artist royalties, so that's what they were suing for, that back artist royalties all those years later. Buck Rams was taking in all that money Buck Rams was taking in. You know, I don't think any Platters end up settling their case with Buck Rams. I'm sorry. Herb Reed, because Herb Reed lived the longest. Zola Taylor died in like 2000. Zola Taylor died in like 2000, 2004. But Herb Reed died later, like 2013 or something like that. He was the only one that I know that actually won and got his rewards. He was the only one. He lived the longest to settle and get paid out. So he did receive royalties, but the rest of them, it's sad they didn't. And you got to remember, I was just a hired on hand. I was being paid salary to be in the group, and it was so funny that you mentioned that because BMI sent me a letter in what year was that? It had to have been 2012. sent me a letter, found me here in LA, sent me a letter because my real name is Teddy Williams. Teddy Fame is my stage name. Teddy Williams is my real name. So they were under the assumption that I was Tony Williams' son. And they sent me a letter to fill, they sent me some forms to fill out because they wanted to start sending me his royalties from BMI. But I was not a legal his child, you know, so I denied that. I said, no, you're not gonna get me on this fraud stuff because I have no relations in that terms. I'm not related to Tony. I was an employee. I was a hired employee. I just so happened to share the same last name as him. But yeah, they was trying to send me his royalties. You know, I tell you this, the good things that I got out of my good fortune came after I left the Platters, because I was able to use those connections of being in a group for 10 years and touring all over the world with them to pursue my solo career. And I kept in touch with a lot of those booking agents. And at the time, they was booking me in Singapore and Japan as a former member of the Platters as my own guy. And I was out there doing that on my own overseas. And I was overseas for like 10 years on my own, just doing that. What you wrote, man? Back then in the 50s, almost everybody had gotten screwed over in record business with royalties, especially when kids were making their way in the business, like Frankie Lyman and the Teenage. You got that right. You remember that story about Frankie Lyman, the Frankie Lyman story? You sure right. The only person that made money back in the 50s was Elvis Presley. And Matt, you know why. Let's don't get it twisted. You know why he got paid. But all those other groups, shit, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, they all got screwed out of their money. Actually, Elvis got screwed by his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. He was like taking 50%. He got Elvis money. Yeah, we do. We all know why. Yeah. But yeah, Elvis, he did good. He did great. He's probably one of the few people from the 50s that got out of that decade with money. You know, because rock and roll was brand new. Because a lot of as you know, a lot of those early rock and roll stars, they never made it out of the 50s. A lot of them died. You know, the day the music died, the Big Bopper, you know, Richie Valens, you know, Buddy Holly, you know, a lot of those Blue Suede Shoe guys, a lot of those guys died. Oh no, Carl Perkins didn't die in the 60s, but that other guy from the 50s died in a car accident in England. What's his name? Yeah, Tom Parker was a different story altogether. You know that's right. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. But you know what? Hey, that's show business. That's what they said. That's show business. Eddie Cochran. That's right, Eddie Cochran. He died in 1960 in a car accident, right? In England, right? He was in he died as a passenger in a car. If the story is correct, if I'm correct. A lot of those guys didn't make it, you know, and then a lot of those guys were like one-hit wonders. Had maybe one hit. The Platters was the not the biggest black group, the biggest group, period, from the 50s. Okay, the Platters had 5 #1 records on the pop charts from 1955 to 1960. So they made all the money. He was with Vince Taylor. He lived through it. Yeah, that's right. He lived though. Yeah, Vince Taylor, that's right. So The Platters was the biggest selling group of all times out of all the groups in the 50s. They sold the most records. They was the biggest group, the most popular group from that era. And this was because of Tony Williams' voice. Tony Williams' voice is the reason why they were so amazing in the 50s. That is so true. You know, oh, shoot, I wish no, I don't. I was going to say I wish I was alive in that. I wish I was born then. No, I wasn't. Because the stuff you had to go through as a black person, that stuff, nah. No, thank you. I'm happy to be alive when I was alive. You know, show business is funny. You never know who's going to make it and who's going to not. Who's going to be successful and who's going to be a failure. You never know. The show business is funny that way. Tony Williams had no freaking clue when he was a younger coming up that he was ever going to be famous, a famous singer, you know? Back to Frankie Lyman, if you remember, it was Zola Taylor who been his second wife for publicity stuff. Yep, man, you know your history. You know your history, Zola Taylor District, and it was definitely a publicity stunt because he was married to another woman, and he supposedly had gotten married to Zola Taylor. So it's definitely a publicity stunt. You got that right, man. You definitely got that right. But that's no different than some of these famous people today, you know, that married these other famous people for publicity. You think Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie, bless her, rest in peace, Lisa Marie Presley was really in love? Or was that a publicity stunt? The king of pop and the king of rock daughter getting married? Come on. We all know what that was about. You know we know what that was about. What you got there, man? Matt is an old rock and roll historian. You know what, I'm happy. You know, that's great because you can teach me some stuff, Matt. You know, you can teach me some stuff because I grew up on soul music. So rock and roll was another genre that I dug, but I didn't grow up with rock and roll. I grew up with soul music, you know, the Ray Charleses and people from that era, you know. So that's who I was more familiar with, especially Motown. I was like a Motown baby. I love everything about Motown. Motown is the reason why I became a singer. Motown is the reason why I got into show business. I remember specifically 1969. I was 10 years old and I saw the Jackson 5 on TV, and Michael Jackson was like a year older than me. And I said, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be. Michael Jackson was the reason why I became a singer in show business. Yep. The young Michael, not the older 80s Michael Jackson, no. The Michael Jackson with the Jackson 5. That Michael Jackson was who I was really into. Really excited about. Who got me loving show business. And well, he was my biggest influence. And then people like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. Like I said, Motown. Anything Motown, that was me. That's why I got the love of music from, because I can remember as a kid sitting in the radio. My mom's just playing the radio, and I can hear all these Motown songs on the radio, and I'm just sitting there. Motown had the biggest acts in the world. You had the Jacksons, the Tims, Supremes, Marvin Gaye, and the Great Smokey. Now that's right, Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson just did a show here in L.A. a week or two ago. 83 years old, out here singing like that, still putting it down, still making it happen. And you know, Barry Gordy is still alive. I think that man is damn near 100 years old by now. Barry Gordy outlived damn it, everybody on that Motown label, man. He took care of himself. Too bad a lot of his artists didn't take care of themselves because he damn sure took care of himself. He's still alive and healthy to this day. Barry Gordy. All right. So that's a great example of somebody who took care of themselves. But yeah, Motown was my influence. Platters was before my time, but Motown was my time, was my era, was my music. And I'm just fortunate enough, I was just lucky enough, just honored enough, just privileged enough to be at the right place at the right time, to be able to come up, to be able to myself become a part of music history from being a member of the Platters. Like I said, if you look at, I'm not sure if it's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame itself, but they didn't mention the names of all the people that worked with Tony Williams and the Platters, and they did mention my name, Teddy Fame. They did mention my name, so somewhere in the annals, my name is in there. Barry's in his 90s, and Quincy, and Michael Jackson was in his 90s. That's right, he's in the 90s, and Quincy Jones in his 90s. Both of them in their 90s. Yeah, so some of them, shit, look, Quincy Jones outlived Michael Jackson. Wow. You know, so this goes to show you, man, that individuals. Hey, Matt, I plan on being a Quincy Jones, Barry Gordy. I'm definitely going to make it to my 90s. Trust me on that. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it, man. I'm going to make it. I know it. I'm going to make it. Man, this is fun, man, doing this live and talking to people and talking to you, Matt. Thank you for joining me on live. Hopefully we can strike up a friendship. Hey, I have no problem, so let's do it. I'm always open for new friends, man. And I just want to share all this knowledge and information that I have that a lot of you guys out there would love to talk to somebody like me, especially the fans. So that's what that's what this YouTube channel is for, Matt. It's for the fans. So if you know of any more Platters fans like yourself, invite them over to my channel. The last surviving member of Tony Williams Platters, Teddy Fame. What you wrote, Matt? What you wrote? This is fun, man. I'd be happy to strike up this friendship. Yes, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. This is great. This is wonderful for me, too. Like I said, if you got any more friends out there, tell them to come on in. Invite them all in. I'm open to everybody. Let's make this our own group. Somebody, we can call this the Platters family reunion. With the surviving member, with the only surviving member of Tony Williams Platters that's still here and still alive and can still talk to you guys. And right now, this is great. This is fun. I'm not going to be on too much longer, Matt. Like I said, this is my inaugural presentation, introduction to YouTube Live. And I'm going to be doing this going live at least once or twice a week. Just talking to you guys, especially you. Hope to see you again, Matt, when I go live again. And to all the other Platters fans, and to the ones who haven't joined me live, but are going to watch this stream later when I post it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment like my friend Matt is doing, and comment on these posts. And let me know how much you love the Platters. Tell me your favorite Platters story or your favorite Platters memory, and let's compare notes. Okay? So this is Ted E. Fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters, saying, Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you again. Love you, and bye-bye.